Hey, Paul. You there, Paul? Hello.
Hello. Start my video.
Hey, Theo.
Hello.
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 How you going?
Just waiting for Justin, right?
Yeah. Okay. All righty. With somebody else here is let's see. Oh, there we go. No. Oh yes. Hello, Paul. Hi, Patty Da.
How you going, Theo?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, very good. I felt something was happening the last 2-3 days in my life.
What did you
anyway.
feel?
I don't
Yeah?
know, just a lot of enlightened energy, like the energy of enlightenment, something like that. The energy of something. A lot of bliss, yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
A lot of light, a lot of bliss. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, man.
Huh? Yeah, it's pretty cool. I just dropped my medication. Like I'm on this medication and I dropped down. So maybe that's it. Maybe I'm feeling a lot better.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, right on.
How you been, Theo?
Well, I just had a sort of a breakup with a woman that I've only been with for about 5 days.
Really?
and so I'm bummed about that on a human level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe she'll rebound. Who knows? Maybe. I don't know. You been feeling anything peculiar, Simon?
No.
Fair enough.
I have been feeling you guys and contemplating the three of you as the seventh stage and enjoying that and kind of amazed. So
Well, it's really new territory, yeah, isn't it? Like it really is new territory
yes,
for me.
I think for me, yes. No, I never had a conversation like we've had with more than one person at a time, and or if ever, really. I mean, I've never been with anybody who made a claim of being awakened in the seventh stage, let alone three others. I mean, other than Santosha Tantra. Yeah.
I was telling my friend that, about awakening,
I'm trying to get Justin,
and he goes,
by the way. Just so you know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to get Justin.
Yeah.
I'm telling my friend,
Yeah.
okay. I'm telling my friend about awakening, and he goes, "Oh, and he's trying to talk me into kind of setting myself up as like an independent kind of realizer or whatever. And I said to him, "Oh, it's new ground now. There's more than one. You know, it's you know, traditionally people kind of awaken and then kind of set up themselves. But if there's more than one, say 3 or 4 or more,
or more.
you know, it's more. It's like what do you do? It's more like it's a I don't know what it is, but it's certainly not the same as it used to be. You know what I mean, Theo?
Yeah, no, totally. I dread the idea of being an independent anything on that level, and I don't see the necessity for it. And I think it would be a better example to just show intimacy, or to people. Um, yeah.
Oh, I'm not going to. But he was just saying that, and I said, no, it's not like that anymore because of the bright new age culture. That's how I
Bright new age culture. Yeah. Yes, beautiful.
So,
bright new age culture.
and it sort of loses some sort of edge to fuckdom that you gotta somehow, I don't know, whatever.
Well, that everything's pointing up to a pointy cult towards one individual. Like everything's focusing in on that cult of an individual. And oh God. No, I think this is a wonderful time not to do that. Like, let's try something else. Anything else.
Anything else. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, just drop that completely, you know. Yeah, and there's so much. I don't know what it is, egolessness or freedom in dropping that altogether. Burden, drop of a burden. I mean, yeah. And when I confess to him, look, there's not just me. There's others that seem to completely dump all that agony. Yeah.
Dump all the agony.
You know, I'm just going independently. You know, I am enlightened, and then everyone worships you and follows you and wants to do stuff and stuff. No, I don't know. There's something about that that's, I don't know, not necessary, but it's also a bit of a burden.
I think worship is okay if it's like in both directions, or like a mutuality to that. And I even feel with Adida that he adores and worships us, and he said so. He said, "I worship my devotees."
Yeah, exactly.
And he's a devotee in love with us.
Yeah.
And in love with our potential to be realized. And I have no presumptions about being an equal to him per se, but I imagine us really all sitting around him as the bright, being the bright, and not being peers with him exactly, but being strong with, in his presence, and not merely sort of a disempowered kind of subservient kind of, oh, I'm always looking up to you, master, you're always above, and I'll never be that, and I can't be up at that level. And a kind of disempowered demeanor. Like, we could be strong around him and be bright in his company. And I love just imagining sitting with him, the four of us. There's four of us. Four of them.
It'd be very interesting, wouldn't
it? Hey Theo, I was wondering, do you feel like calling Justin or texting him just to see if he's around?
Yeah.
It definitely kind of feels, to me, it feels very powerful when there's four of us. I mean, it's
God, yes.
There's many of us, but when with the four of us, it feels complete somehow.
No, I totally feel that. I want that.
I feel it doesn't feel right. It's not, it doesn't feel right, but it doesn't feel like it's complete.
No, I hunger for that.
Leela to the two of us, which is cool, totally cool. But I feel like I want Justin to be part of it. I feel like it's something about the four. I don't know. It feels quite.
I agree. Can you tell me his number?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, it may be that he got called out to the restaurant or something quickly, or that he forgot. I don't know. 619
619
742
742
2193.
2193. See if I can. I'll text him now.
Cool.
Yeah, I just left him a message. It picked up rather quickly. I mean, his voicemail.
Yeah. He says he doesn't always get his texts, so I don't know.
We'll do all our due diligence. Alrighty.
If Justin doesn't come, Theo, do you want to tell your Leela anyway, or should we save your Leela and chat about other things and save it till Justin comes and then?
I'm definitely ready to share my Leela, but I want to feel into it for a few minutes too. And
I mean, I can always send the recording to Justin, of course, but still.
He said he'd,
You know,
he'd make it.
or we do it another, or we rearrange it another time. You know. Until
yeah,
there, and
yeah.
maybe it's
Let's
almost
feel,
a hassle.
yeah.
That's the way it is. I don't know. I don't
Let's-
mind.
Let's give Justin at least 10 or 15 minutes, and then feel into it. See how it feels. What's the integrity?
So Simon, did you feel did anything come to you around like a direction for this group as like an ongoing thing after the Leelas are told? Did you feel there was any kind of I don't know what the word is, vision
I
vision
find
for
it
the
interesting that Roger dropped out.
yeah.
Because Roger's not. I mean, he's definitely not quite in sync with the three of us, and you know, he had some good reasons too, but I could. He said he's at work and he's kind of busy at work, but he gave me several reasons why he can't be part of the group. So it wasn't like that was just the one reason. And you know, then he said he can't hear very properly. Then he said he's like in so many Adidam groups already, and in a way, I felt like it kind of felt. I don't know. In some ways, it felt more relaxed that he is
Yeah,
dropping. But as much as I love
yeah.
him, because he doesn't feel quite in sync with the three of us, four of us. And
Four of us. Yeah.
you know, you asked me, Paul, do I feel anything? Well, actually, I feel every day. I feel kind of electrified, you know, and I'm great. And as every day goes on, it's very subtle, but I feel it slightly more. So the participating with you guys, I'm not feeling like, you know, today is like a big, you know, you talked about a big sort of whatever. I'm not feeling that. I'm feeling like a very gradual, you know, since connecting with you guys, it's just this gradually, I gradually feel this expanding thing, and I'm noticing it, you know, in my communications with other people. even enlightened people
Mhm.
on the Facebook, for example, like Michael Markham, who's like a non-dualist. I was on a sort of a bit of a Dharma debate with him today on Facebook. It's not really what I'm into, doing Dharma debate, but he challenged one of my Facebook posts. I mentioned reincarnation, and he was kind of challenging it, and so I got into a Dharma debate, and I noticed I've had Dharma debates before where we seem to be on a par level or something, or I'm not. But Randy Hayes was on the call, he was watching it, and he said, "Oh, Simon, you run this hands down."
Yeah.
And I felt I wasn't actually doing anything. It's just I felt there's like everything he wrote. I don't know. I just knew what to say, and
Yeah.
and I felt there was some kind of shift from how there had been, even, and I felt, and the fact that Randy was, and Randy's like he's scathing of our enlightenments and things, right? Kind of.
Yeah.
But the fact that he said you won this hands down, and I kind of softened it a bit, I softened it a bit, like, because I want to be relational with Michael, it's not, I'm not like
Yeah.
beat his ass or something like that. So,
Beat his ass. Yeah.
but I just felt something about the guru's, the power of this awakening, and I feel with you guys, being with you guys, there's something magnifying about it. Maybe in the confident. I don't know. It's coming out. It's the communication is more assertive or something. I don't know if it's
Yeah,
because of you guys, but I feel like I feel there's this field now more. It's an expanding
I,
field. I mean, it's not
yeah,
just me
Mhm.
on my own communicating it. I feel I'm in a sort of a bright field with you, and with you guys included, and yeah, and it feels it's just going to keep expanding. So that's the kind. It just feels it's just going to keep expanding. I mean, it's not even a feel it will. It's like a certainty, And I keep checking back into it, and I just feel like I don't know. It's just clear to me that it's moving in this way, So
Yeah.
I'm just feeling moved to keep moving with it. I don't feel I'm
Yeah.
controlling it with you guys, or I'm the leader, and then I don't feel like that. I just feel like it's like being a contain. Like it's more like I'm kind of feeling today. It's like the Guru City feels to me like it moves with us. It's like as we step forward, it moves with us. It's like it's not it takes the shape of us in the way we communicate with it, and way we live it. And,
Yeah.
it's like it feels, it's almost like if all devotees got into this vibe, the city would just fill all the cracks, and it would just expand and magnify, and it's like it feels like we're making channel, like you've got an ocean or something, and we're like, and the ocean is coming down the mountain, or the water's coming down the mountain, but it's like we're like carving out the channels for it to kind of.
Yeah.
That's what I feel, and I feel like
Yes.
we're not doing it with effort. We're not doing it with effort. But we're kind of just moving with it, like kind of like kind of like paving the way, like it's a procession or something, and we're paving the way for it. Like we're clearing the people out of the way for the guru to come through, for the city to come more and more through, more
Yes.
strong.
Clear the way.
That's kind of how I feel it.
Yeah.
So I feel it can't be rushed. It's just like taking that. I'm just looking, like the guru said, look for the opportunities. When they're there, take the opportunities. He said, with advocating, for example, to celebrities and people, he said, don't force anything. But the opportunities will present themselves. Take those opportunities, and my city would do the rest. For me, that's what this
Yeah.
group represents. Like I feel if we are to start, for example, doing the prayer changes together,
Right.
it's, you know, this, or the next thing we do together, or for example, I'm recording these the Leelas, for example. You know, and I just had a sort of envisaged at some point a website where, you know, awakened devotees are just like full on this website, you know, and there's no holding back, and it's an actual, you know, 7th stage of Adidam awakened devotees, and as more people join us, are with it, are awakened, it becomes like a power, a force that the culture, the institution cannot at some point deny. You know, maybe now they can deny it, but what happens in a year or two? We keep moving with this,
Right. Right.
and embracing people and encouraging people and creating a safe space for devotees who are ecstatic and feeding his transmission, cultivating that in different ways. The institution, nothing can stand up to it at some point. It's too free. The power of it is too free. So I feel we're at the seed of this. We're just at the beginning of this sort of crossing over. And there's no way back. I can't, you know, there's no way back I know there's no way back for you guys, right? So there's no way back from, you know, you can't go back.
No.
And start talking from some place of dilemma or not there yet or something. It doesn't make any sense. So you have to keep moving forward. It's a bit like once you jump off the cliff, you can't get, you know,
You can't get back. No.
And if you've got other friends jumping off with you, you know what I mean? You're there. Yeah, that's what's happening now. So you're out there, and I just feel the city moving with us, which is how I always felt the city, you know. So the city for me is like it's like a, I don't know, it's like it's always been like a responsive creature or something, you know, like a massive cosmic snake or something, very sensitive, and you nurture it, and you can close it down as well. You can scare it away. You can. That's how I feel the Guru's city. So what's exciting? One of the things that's exciting for me being with you guys is that this. Yeah, I feel the city is like a giant. It's like a monster snake or something. That's frightening if you're if you're not destroyed yet.
Yeah.
But if you're riding it, you know, like Jim Morrison, ride the snake. You know, if you're riding the snake or riding the
snake.
You know, if you're riding, if you're the rider on the storm, then
yeah. Thank you for the rock metaphor, Simon.
Potty Dog, Guru like Jim Morrison.
Wait, hold on, Simon. Potty Dog, were you going to say something? I wanted to hear you were interjecting.
Oh no, sorry. Well, I'm feeling the same thing, Simon, with my communications. I feel that winning the Dharma debates is quite new for me too, in a way, because usually I've had to push shit uphill, but lately I've just been bah, 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 and they kind of go, oh, I kind of go, wow, where'd that come from, you know? And I think, oh, cool, you know, he's really confidence and affirming his wisdom.
Yes.
Like we had a debate about this guy said you won't be enlightened until you drop the body or something like that. And he was a nice fellow, and I kind of just spoke on the text on the Facebook, and it turned out really well, you know. But no one wants to mention Adidar. They mention all these other teachers, but they're really no one includes Adidar in it, and I'm kind of thinking, why is that? Like they refer, you'd think they would, but maybe they've never heard. Maybe they've never heard of him. But I think there's a lot. And the other thing I was going to say is there's a lot of, maybe it's a lot to do with prior unity with the with us. You know, I think I think there's an element of that that's true. When it, like what I was saying to Theo earlier about being an independent realizer and all that, which is just rubbish. And the prior unity of a 7-stage culture is quite cool,
Right.
and relieving.
It's quite cool and relieving.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Stupid cool, man.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I
Thank
wanted
you.
to say. But it's fun to have these Dharma debates now with all this kind of, I don't know what it is, empowerment or something. I'm not afraid of them now. I used to.
Yeah. Yeah, you've
not
got backup.
Yeah.
Paul, you've got backup.
Yeah, that's a blessing and a half. Yeah.
I don't think you're a fool or crazy or deluded just because of your state or your realization. And I'm happy for your realization.
Yeah. It's good. It's a good realization.
I like looking at your picture on Facebook.
I mean, you like that?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
You look amazing.
You look great. I mean,
So soft. Your face, you know.
Yeah, that was a good moment. I was like I said, I was feeling this enlightened energy, or I don't know what you call it, some sort of enlightened bliss. And I felt the guru saying, "You're enlightened, you're enlightened, you're enlightened," and I'm going, "Oh, cool." You know?
Yes.
Hey, I looked at the Murti, and his eyes looked straight at me and said, "You're fucking enlightened, you know. Get over it." And I thought, a Murti confirmation is supreme, you know. And I thought, oh, okay, well, let's go then.
Yeah, let's go. It makes me want him here. I want him here physically. You know, I just have that human desire and longing.
Yeah.
But you guys are the next best thing. Okay, it's 11:31. I'm ready to give my Leela guys. I think I feel like I should give that energy here and now. And I regret Justin not being here. Maybe he'll show up. But
well, he will get the recording.
Yeah.
So it says I did put pre-record it, and it does say recording. So I think that means it's recording.
Yeah.
The red is flashing. The last
It
one
says recording.
and I've got them. So just so you know, if you ever want them, or this one, I'll certainly send to you anyway, Theo. And storing them, and everyone can have them, and I'm keeping them safe. So
yeah, everything I'll be saying is for public disclosure.
And anyway, bro, if we do anything with these videos at some point, Max, if we do it through Bright Reality Media, Max Rykov can edit anyway, because that's what he does.
Yeah.
So don't hold back with saying anything you feel isn't right for public, because
he can edit.
He can work with it, you know.
Yeah.
And what isn't going to be eventually with public? I mean, the guru told me to tell everything. He told me personally with two other devotees to say everything that I've heard and seen in his company, and what I've heard, and let legal do what they do, but you as my devotee, you just don't censor me at all.
Right.
And that was the public people, right? So that's what he told me. That's what he's telling everyone. When we talk, we don't censor us, so we don't have to censor ourselves for the public.
All right.
There's that video that exists of me talking to Anki, and they said at the time that it was a wrong communication to the public to talk about feeling contemplation as spiritual sex. And and then Roger said, "Oh, he saw it," and I thought, "Oh, is it really going around or whatever?" But I felt like it was a good interview all the same. There was no holding back, you know. And I think that's the beauty of Adi Dham, is that you can have everything out in the open, like you're saying, Simon. But
Theo,
yeah,
do you want to do some kind of invocation or some kind of prayer or
Let's
something?
do the first great invocation. Divine Heart Master,
Divine
Adi
Heart
Da
Master,
Samraj,
Adidas Samraj,
all pervading giver
Lady
of
Giver of
spirit life,
Spirit Life, consciousness
consciousness,
where
where I
I appear
appear and
and disappear.
disappear. Hear my
Hear my
breathing heart.
breathing heart.
Awaken me
Awaken
now,
me now by your sudden
your sudden grace, to find
find
you here
you
before
here
me,
before me and all bright,
and all bright,
dissolving
dissolving
mind and body in your heart.
mind and body in your heart.
I hold up my hand.
I hold up my hands.
I could do a short reading, the one I posted to you. It's not very long.
Yes, please, please, please.
So this is now begins the recitation of the Ruchir Avatar, the Dharvatar. This is from the enlightenment of the whole body. Therefore, even after I pass out of sight on earth, I may be approached by devotees in the seventh stage, and I will receive the prayers that are their own bodies. This is the mystery of our love. I am the Self who receives devotees into the domain of the heart. And yet I will not abandon you as you have abandoned me. As long as a single particle of the human shape remains, I will be standing here until you embrace my feet and say, how radiant is the human body when it is surrendered into selfless heart communion with the spirit breath of truth's divinity. This is the enlightenment of the whole body. Here ends the recitation of the Ruchir Avatar, the Dharvatar, beloved Bhagavan Adidas Samraj.
Thank you. So I wanted to offer you guys my Leela of my awakening with Adida. And I think it starts with my birth. I've always had a tacit sense
Can you
that
go
I
back
was
further?
God.
Can you go back further? Come on, go back further.
And the way that played out of this feeling of being God, not exclusively God, I assumed everybody was God. And I had almost a magical thinking that everyone would meet me on that level and naturally experience disappointment. But nonetheless, the way it played out for me in my first 18 years of life was that I was always pursuing love relationships, either friendships or romance or creative collaborations or and I had remarkably good luck with friendships, best friends, and falling in love with women. And that culminated when I was 17. I met this woman named Janine in high school, and I fell so much in love with her, and she fell in love with me to the same degree. And for a year, we were in a state of like constantly feeling her, constantly turning towards her, constantly minute by minute being preoccupied in love with this person to the point that it's like a devastating experience, not in a negative way, but it felt like devastation, like being crushed. Or overwhelmed or by the intensity and by the all-consuming quality of being in this constant uh, feeling and turning to this person in love. And that led me to the next breakthrough, which was my first experience with LSD when I was 18, in my freshman year of college, when I was still in the midst of this love with Janine. And I basically inherited the atheism of both my mom and my dad. My dad was Jewish, but disavowed Judaism and was a scientist, doctor, and an atheist. And my mother has always been an atheist up to the present time. And we never went to church. We never had any kind of involvement whatsoever with anything religious. And it kind of gave me an incredibly free life as a child, because I really didn't get any heavy programming about God or about religion or Jesus Christ or anything like that. And I got to roam freely through the Berkeley Hills as a kind of hippie child, growing up in the 60s and 70s in Berkeley. And nature was God to me. And a constant sense of companionship and trust and healing and fun. I always got with nature. And my dad would take me and my brother on trips with the Sierra Club all over California. And my father gave me that sense of nature as God or as a pilgrimage to something sacred, even though he didn't believe in God. And so I had a very good foundation of having a kind of sadhana or a kind of relationship with God continuously through nature. And the East Bay Hills is just one of the greatest places to grow up. And so I had these steady friendships or a fantastic love relationship with a woman in high school, freshman year of college, that absolutely convicted me of that feeling of God with another person and the all importance of that. There's nothing more compelling than that until I discovered being a rock musician. But the first acid trip, I basically, in that 24-hour period, I went from being an atheist to being full-blown Godward individual, remembering that I'd only had all these past lifetimes of being a person for God, of being a person toward God, of being, life is all about God. All there is God. That's the only concern. And even in other acid trips in the future, I would often query myself, like, what does this have to do with God? What does this trip and the experiences of tripping have to do with God? And then I got a couple answers on a couple of mushroom trips that I had. One of which started out in the East Bay Hills with my best friend Tom, who was also the co-founder of my band Swaybone with me, and also my housemate in the first group house that I created with my friends. And we went up to Tilden Park, and we had a very bad trip, like the worst trip I could ever imagine, in the sense that I felt that all my faculties were gradually being pared away by a darkness that was completely all enveloping. And I essentially lost all of my faculties of memory, of being a human being, of having any capabilities for my future. Every single aspect of my humanity was blotted out one by one. And I could see what was happening to Tom. We were collapsed on the trail. I think it got started because we couldn't stand up and we noticed there was poison oak around us. And we were both mutually cycling into our worst fear dynamic. Like, oh God, that's your worst fear. Oh my God, that's my worst fear. Oh, well, there's a worse fear than that. Oh my God, it gets worse than that. Oh, it goes darker than that. Darker, darker, worse, worse. Oh no, I've lost everything. I've gone completely mad. I have no humanity left. I have no faculties left whatsoever. The darkest, blackest, nothing that I could possibly be afraid of, or I couldn't imagine such darkness. And it just went boom down to the bottom of the worst of the worst. And then somehow there was just the tacit realization that no matter how negative or dark or absent or nothing it could possibly be, there is consciousness being conscious of that loss, conscious of losing everything, conscious of hopelessness of ever getting anything back. And that sense of being utterly mad, like your worst fear of tripping is either death or madness. And I got to have that worst fear realized. And then somehow that little spark of consciousness enabled me and Tom to gradually, piece by piece, reacquire faculties one by one. Somehow we stood up and, oh, there's a faculty. And then we walked forward. Oh, there's a faculty. Oh, we could see foliage. There's another faculty. And then we heard some children laughing. It's so corny. And I was like, oh, we could get everything back and more. And it involved walking back up this really steep hill back up to Grizzly Peak. And with each step that was taking up the hill, I was regaining the faculties that at some point I reached the level I was at before, and each step forward was now introducing me to higher levels of enlightenment. Each step I was going up the hill with Tom, there's another level of enlightenment, another level of enlightenment. Wait, how far does this go? How far do that? What's the enlightenment step beyond that step? What's the enlightenment step beyond that step? And by the time we got up to the top of Grizzly Peak, there's this reservoir up there. And I was just like saying to Tom, I'm God. I mean, I'm enlightened. This is it. This is the greatest fucking possible event or realization or outcome. This is beyond what I could hope for. And that trip ended up with me throwing my wallet and keys away and taking my shirt off, because I don't need these things anymore. I don't need any of my encumbrances of being a human self anymore. And I ended up going door to door to people's houses up at Grizzly Peak, because I wanted to see my creation. I wanted to make sure that my people were okay. And everybody who I talked to was completely cordial and not reactive and completely ordinary about it. Like, yeah, we're fine. Thank you for asking. And I would go on to the next door, and my friend Tom was starting to freak out. And at one point I stood up on the top of a car, and it was kind of jumping up and down on top of the car's ceiling. And Tom freaked out and took off at that point without saying anything. And that trip devolved into me going back to a normal state, and for a minute thinking I had gone mad, and then just accepting the whole thing and realizing that I was not ready to be enlightened at that time. And I was going to find out why. Why did I come down? Why couldn't I stay in that state? And then shortly, a year or two after that trip, or maybe right around the time of that trip, I was in a bookstore called Shambhala Books on Telegraph Avenue, which had all these black and white pictures of the realizers, Ramana Maharshi and others, around the top clerestory over the shelves. And I immediately accepted them all, loved them all, and felt like this is it. This is the company of the realizers. This is where I always want to be. I always recognize them. And I picked up a Laughing Man magazine. I don't remember which. Randomly opened it up. I saw a picture of Beloved's bald head. I read a few lines of his word. And I was instantly like, oh yeah, you're the one. You're my ultimate master for all time. You're the one I've been looking for forever or for this lifetime. I've now found what I was looking for, and I no longer need to search ever again. And in some sense, my search was ended at that point. But I also had this recognition that Adida wants me to give my entire life to him right now and be his formal devotee, follow the vow of devotion, and that's it. And then it came up for me. I said to Bhagavan psychically, I recognize you, Heartmaster. I know you're the ultimate one. I know you are forever my Heartmaster, forever. And none will be before you. I will always be yours. But I can't give my life to you until I've realized my goals as an artist, as a rock musician, as a singer and writer of songs. And basically from that time, from about age 20 to age 38, I pursued being a rock musician with all my heart and dedication and sacrifice every single day. I had a band from 1986 onward to the present, and basically, even though I had not fully realized my artistic goals by 2000, I had reached a point of complete disillusionment with all of my experiences. And I had been gifted with an unusually exalted life of experiencing the highest creative thrills, sexual thrills, psychedelic drug thrills, and every kind of relational experience, creative experience, or higher emotional, intellectual experience. I felt like I'd had them all. And by 2000, when I was 37, 38 years old, I realized that all of my experiences, including meditative experiences, I should also mention that around the time I found Adida in Laughing Man magazine, a friend of mine told me about meditation. And we were walking through People's Park, and he gave me the briefest description, like, well, basically with meditation, you sit down and you just notice your breath and try to sit quietly and calmly and notice whatever arises and be detached and just let it all flow. And I sat down in my apartment, and for my very first meditation in my life, experienced a kind of conditional samadhi. And I recognized the experience, and I was so happy, so thrilled, so excited. I went out to Jack London Square and had a celebration. I just celebrated by myself. Like, I'm back to that practice that I've been doing for endless time. And it's right there for me. And from that point on, I was like a gifted meditator. I could meditate for an hour every day. I would have a kind of formless absorption into an energy state virtually every single time. And then I started to have spontaneous samadhis or meditations just throughout the day, like especially standing in line at the grocery store. Or it was like so blissful and wonderful and positive and like a superpower. Like almost at will, I could drop out of whatever's going on and be in an ecstatic state. And I enjoyed that for years until my Saturn return started a few years later. And I started kind of early for me of, it's supposed to start when you're 27, that you begin to confront your own corruption. And I was involved in an auto accident at that time and had involvement with a woman and various things that propelled me, including living in a group house with other people. And my first wife, Shira, I met at that time. And she and I were both committed to this practice called the Diamond Heart School by a teacher named Hamid Almas. And he and his and his best students were my teachers. And they're of a kind of practice where you feel your feelings and you feel into the knots in your frontal line. And you do this with a kind of unconditional acceptance of whatever arises. And me and my wife, my first wife, did that practice together, and we both plunged into the depths of our corruption, of our egoity, knowing that's what that is. That why I betray you, why I don't trust you, why I fail to love you, why I act like you're the enemy, when my first wife was the great love of my life. I mean, I had the great love of my life with Janine, and then I was granted another experience like that with a woman, and we were married or together for 11 years. And she was an intrepid, bold explorer of the emotions and of the corruption of the ego and the shadow. And I could not I could not have hoped for a better partner. And I still love her that same way today. And we still have that reciprocity and recognition of that love up to today. And but it propelled us into the darkness of that corruption of the ego. And we just worked as hard as we could to confront that and accept it in ourselves and each other and love each other in the midst of that. So that kind of made my meditation experiences a lot rougher at that point. And the samadhis and the bliss was becoming less prominent. And a grueling struggle ensued, where on the one hand, I was pursuing a rock and roll career that went, in terms of a fan base or making money or in terms of gaining opportunities, was going nowhere. And it continued to go nowhere for year after year after year. And then my friend Tom dropped out of the band in 1998 after 11 years together. And my first marriage with Shira ended at that time. And I started to get into my middle age period, and I was not as healthy. I was eating a lot of sugar and a lot of wheat, and I was getting kind of heavier and starting to get sluggish and slowing down. And then from 98 to 2000, I realized a complete disillusionment with all of my seeking, and realized I'd had the most excellent possible human lifetime in terms of higher human experiences, all the kind of experiences you might, except for fame. Although I enjoyed a lot of positive regard and people basically following me in terms of living in a group house or the band, And I always was able to get the most extraordinary musicians to be with me in my band, and had the most extraordinary good luck with the relationships I had with musicians and artists in my band. I can never describe to you how good it is to be with those guys. And I have the evidence because I had the blessing of recording our best jams from like 1995 onward. And I have those jams. I listen to them all the time from the earliest days of the Numinous Fools, because we were called the Numinous Fools in the first years of the band. And then we became Swaybone when we recorded our first CD in 1995. So I felt so blessed to be constantly in the company of great musician, great artist, amazing, propelling our band creatively, our songwriting. And I really struggled as a songwriter. That was the thing that busted my balls for years. And it wasn't even till 2013 that I got my act together enough to release an entire album of what I consider good enough songs. But by 1998, 1999, I'd met my second wife, Bunny Buns, and I really was extremely disillusioned by the fact that I had been with Shira, the woman I consider like a soulmate and the most exalted possible female companion I will ever get. And so that was brutal disheartenment, because you mean I'm never going to find a woman as good as that again? That's a big bummer, man. And then I found Bunny Buns, and we embarked on a relationship that was in so many ways even better. And we became like a creative partnership where we supported each other's artistic endeavors and collaborated on a number of creative endeavors with remarkable success on a creative level. And there is nothing uniquely as exciting as having a creative partnership with a woman that you're in love with. And then it got even better, because in 2001, I got a call from a very dear friend of mine named Mark Cummings, who said, Theo, you know, Adi Da is an artist, and he's out in public with his art now. And they're looking for people who have experience in the art world, because I'd only just months before started to get it. I got a grant from this friend of mine, Warner Williams, the painter. I got him a grant from Pollock Krasner Foundation, which is a very significant thing. And I got him a show at the Oakland Museum, which is a very significant thing for him, and essentially saved this Warner's life. He was a self-destructive alcoholic who was openly proclaiming that he's going to off himself. And because of my intervention, he survived, continued painting, and his career started to happen. And because I'd gotten my foot in the door of the art world, and only because of that, I got this phone call. That's like the most important phone call of my life. And there was, at the time, seemingly no way to gain access to Adi Da, or to become his devotee, or to be invited into his company, other than the contact process for his art. And were it not for that, I may never have become a devotee of Adi Da, or been able to get access to him. And so 2 weeks before I got to see Adi Da on July 7th, 2001, I was standing in my shower in Oakland, and I just said to Adi Da, you got me. I'm yours forever. I'll be your formal devotee. I will sign your vow. I'll do everything you ask of me. I don't care what it is. Whatever you ask of me, I will do forever. You got me. And that was it. But my wife, Bunny Buns, was paranoid and afraid that I was going to disappear into this cult. And I went up for 2 days up to the Mountain of Attention, July 7th. I got to see Adida Samraj at Love's Point, his little house up on the hill, with maybe 20 other devotees. And I just sort of, when I saw him, my heart just went out to him. I kind of fell forward towards the floor and it was just like, yes, I'm yours. I affirm in your physical company, you are the one. You're everything I've ever wanted. And you are sufficient. And from that point on, I enjoyed a kind of almost a gracefully easy relationship with Adida. Like, I hardly ever felt like he had to give me harsh notes or bust my ass or, break me down. Or it's like, you already got me. I'm going to give to you. And I'm going to do it through my music, because I was never allowed to serve him or be drawn into service for him on a constant, continuous basis. There's a number of obstacles, and I did, however, have success in service with him for about a year and a half. There was a window given to me in 2007, and I'll get back to that later. But I got to see Adida about 30 times between 2001 and 2005, and signed my vow in the second congregation, eternal vow. And then, like, the best of all things happened. Bunny Buns had been reading The Promised God Man Is Here, that little book. We'd both been reading that. We were both like, that book got us to his feet. And she had a dream about Adida. And 2 weeks later, she was at his feet. And she was on a fast track to being his devotee. She signed her vow months before I did. And they kind of wanted her more than me, or the culture was ready to draw her in as a gopi of Adida or as a chef, because Bunny Buns at that time was the most gifted chef, cook I'd ever met. And I got this privilege. Another privileged access or experiences that I got to have was having somebody who's like one of the most gifted chefs in the world, in my opinion, cooking for me every day, and cooking with love for me and love for the guru, and putting that love into the food. And your body turns over all of its molecules in 7 years. So I got to be fed by this woman for 7 years with that kind of love in the food. And that's like an exalted, rare experience, very particular kind of experience. And I'm a greedy pig. Like, I'm super ultra greedy for spiritual experiences, musical experiences, sexual experiences of the highest order. And Bhagavan was just giving it out like candy. Here you go. You want that? Here, Theo, take it. And Adida toward me was like so indulgent of my greedy desires for those experiences. And I got to be married to a woman who's a devotee and a creative collaborator. And that is like one of the highest experiences a human being could have. And then in 2007, Adida was at the Venice Biennale with his art, and I had a feeling that this was the time to pursue Adida's mission at a new level, because I felt I got to see about 15 suites of Adida's art at the Bright Room tent at Mountain of Attention in 2005, 2006, 2007. And again, I felt given them this highest of exalted experiences where there were these 3 giant screens, and his art would go in procession across the screens, and his suites of art would number in the hundreds or even thousands. And so you could go through this ordeal of hearing this loud music played in a big black space while his art, sometimes beautiful, sometimes scary, ugly, horrific, a reflection of the ego, as Bunny Buns would tell me, scraping off her head. And I felt that Adida's art was going to be a breakthrough for his mission. And so I went through all kinds of ordeals and hoops to get permission to do a major missionary event for Adida on October 13th, 2007 in San Francisco. And I was the leader on this thing. I was the driving force to make it happen. And at one point, Steve Reed and Stanley Hastings gave me a hard drive full of thousands of high resolution images of Adida's artwork up to that point. And that was so improbable. I was already known as a kind of rogue or rebel or non-trustworthy person because of whatever reason, not getting a good reputation. And they gave it to me anyway. And then we started to have planning meetings to do this event, and things were just coming together. And I will say that I'm a natural born leader, and I was getting traction. I was starting to get help, and it felt amazing. We formed a music guild of other devotee musicians, and we started to rehearse at the Donda in Marin. And we started to compose original instrumental music of devotion to be performed live while Adida's artwork is projected on a screen. And this was our formula for the mission event, that devotee musicians would perform original compositions dedicated to the guru while his art was projected on a screen. And in addition, we'd have the usual darshan videos and recitations of his word and displaying of his murti. And in addition to that, other devotees donated their fabrications of his art and shipped them down to San Francisco and hung them in the facility that we were using. And the public had its first access to Adida's physical artwork in San Francisco in 2007. His physical art. To me, that was a breakthrough that was so extraordinary, so unexpected, just nearly impossible to do, given the culture and the restrictions and all of that in Adidam at the time. And I felt, man, I'm being given the keys. This is the golden opportunity. This is unbelievably positive. And when I showed up the night of the event, there were already like 24 devotees working like devoted elves, efficient, cooperative, heart open and moved to serve. And I barely had to do a thing. I didn't have to worry. I didn't have to be micromanaging. I just got my musical instruments together and sat down with the musicians, and we played for the guru in front of about 160 people, including 44 new public people who came to that event and over 80 devotees. And that event was full. It was easeful. It was fun. It was beautiful. It was successful. And then we ended up doing 3 more events like that in 2008 at the Marindanda, which is a horrible, despicable, dishonorable little industrial room with a fake ceiling, with stains on the ceiling, a crappy carpet, a place that shows that devotees have contempt for their teacher. So I always struggled with that place. And in spite of that, we held 3 more events where the devotee musicians would perform live instrumental compositions dedicated to the guru while his art is shown. And plus, we did more suites of his art where we got Philip Glass music and other beautiful electronic music to his art. And people loved it. It was standing room only for all 3 of those events. We were turning people away. We could not accommodate the demand for that type of mission event. And in spite of all that, a short time after that happened, I was at a missionary meeting with the typical men who shall remain nameless from the Marin culture at that time. And they informed me that because I had raised my voice to David Rosen on a phone call, that I was a hothead, that I was out of control, that I was, in fact, they gave me the recommendation that I needed to go on psychiatric medication. They gave me medical advice saying that I was not a suitable person to work for Adida's mission and would no longer be welcome in service to his mission, and should vacate myself from any further service. And they gave me a piece of paper indicating you need to go on medication and leave. At least leave the Marin culture of service to the mission. And I had been through an experience before the mission event in October 13, 2007, where the same men brought me into a room and said, Theo, we're canceling this event. We're not going to do it. The space you've chosen is not suitable. It's not clean. It's not appropriate. And I basically told them, no, you will not cancel this event under any circumstances. This event is appropriate for Adida. And I basically raised my voice and used all my energy to cut through that opposition. And at one point, Patrick Killian said, okay, I'll go check out the space one more time, Theo. And if I think it's suitable, we'll go ahead with the event. And miraculously, Patrick did that. And because Patrick did that, the event happened and it was a success. But I knew that at that time I was brought into what I call the kill room, where their intention was to kill that event or any other events like it from happening, and make sure in no uncertain terms that you, Theo, will not do that. No one else is going to do that. This is not going to happen in the future. And I felt that kill energy from other men in the culture. And so I didn't have any illusions from that point on about what was going on inside Adi Dam and how bad it could be. And so then I was let go from the mission. I was let go from service. I was not invited to do any service after that. Maybe except a couple times many years later after Adida's death. But I realized that the only way I was going to be able to maintain service to Adida was to put everything I had into Swaybone, which I'd already been doing, but I redoubled my commitment and my efforts to put my devotional response to Adida into my lyrics of my music and to write songs around that message of devotion to Adida, and to work on getting my singing voice to be what is needed to conduct that message in those lyrics. And there were some things I noticed about him, that he was granting what Hi guys, I think I'm back. I'll just continue on. I noticed what seemed like cities being granted by Adida immediately after becoming a formal devotee. And the first thing was I went to a party in San Francisco, and for the first time in my life, I experienced no social phobia. And as I was contemplating Adida, I could go up to anybody at the party and just walk up to them and shake their hand and introduce myself in a very ordinary, friendly way, and enjoy it. Enjoy it. And that was remarkable to me, that Adida could grant that kind of breakthrough easily. And ever since then, I've never had the same degree of social phobia. And since that time. And then one of the biggest breakthroughs ever for me personally was in leading up to 2005. I had been following Adida's admonition to sing from above your head and to allow your head to be like an open cup and downwardly receptive and upwardly turning to him. And as I was singing, I started to notice my voice was opening up. And in 2005, I started to notice in the recordings that my voice had changed. And all the years I'd been experiencing vocal strain. And now, for the first time, I was singing with relaxation in my voice and in my head and above my head. And the voice came down from above my head and down through my throat. And from forever onward from that point, I've always been singing like that. And I felt I was granted the most exalted singing voice I could ever want. And all praise to Adida for that. Then in 2008, after being kicked out of the mission and feeling extremely disillusioned and disheartened with Adida, because from 2004 up to 2008 or 2007, Adida was giving these divine discourses online. And Bunny Buns and I would stay up late for 2, 3, 4 hours or more listening to Adida, for the most part complaining vociferously that his gathering was utterly entrapping him, failing to follow through on our obligations, and causing immense distress to him, and essentially poisoning him through various means, causing suffering in his body and the destruction of his mission. In particular, we were shutting down his outreach to other new people. We were shutting down his relationship and access to the Sangha of devotees. And we were betraying him in all the worst ways that you could do to a realizer, and making him under house arrest in his own ashram. And on 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 about how we were failing him. And I'm like, well, okay, I didn't realize this was happening. I didn't know it was this bad. What's going on? What's going on? Why is the guru so unhappy and disturbed and upset with us? And it's a very, very unpleasant experience to be criticized by the guru so much, so relentlessly, and then corroborate that with my own direct experience of other devotees acting weird, acting bad, treating me bad, and throwing away the success of my service to him. So I knew something bad was going on, like really, really, really bad. And then the guru died. And for 3 days, we had the vigil. 3 days I was up trying to stay awake in the hall, praying for him to return yogically from whatever yogic ascent or Ruchiradam type event he might be having. Please, Bhagavan, come back down. Bhagavan, please come back down. Bhagavan, please, 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 please come back down. And then after 3 days, no, he's not coming back. And at that point, I was like, okay, I'm not interested in being alive in this world if Adida's not in this world. And if the devotees have failed to this degree, then not only is everything not working in Adidam, but the guru died. And he said in the Mummery book and the Scapegoats book that Raymond Darling was killed, assassinated. And I have no illusions about how bad it could be for Adida in his gathering. So I'm like, oh, this is very bad. I don't think this death was necessarily, the devotees were saying, it was his time to go. He'd fulfilled his work here. He finished the Aletheon and signed it off just moments or days or minutes before he died. He was good to go. I'm like, I was ready to tear the flesh off of my face. I felt like, tear this flesh off of my face. I don't want flesh on my bones. Tear this off of me. I can't trust these devotees. I don't want to be in the world in this lifetime with these devotees. I want to go wherever Adida is. But then that fantasy went away very quickly, and I realized, oh, I'm feeling Adida stronger than I've ever felt him before. And then new cities started to come up after his death. I started to be able to read his word again with conductivity and not resisting it. I could just read his word like flowing water. I started to have kriyas. Not that that's important. I started to have the thumbs experience downward descent of force through the frontal line. Even a couple times, I mean, I got high on marijuana, and right after taking the toke, he came down the frontal line, and I just projectile vomited perpendicularly straight out of my head the moment his descent came down. Like, descent down, vomit forward. And Bunny Bun saw it happen, and she just laughed. And so I was having those like devotional crises of the thumbs. I was able to sing and write songs for Adida, one after the other after the other. I was just piling up the songs, getting better and better at songwriting, like honing in on my formula, you know? And then in 2010, Bunny Buns got some money, and she financed our trip to Naitumba. And I got to spend 2 weeks at Adidas Samraj Ashram. And because I'd been a so-called rebel and kicked out of the mission, I had this big fear that the moment I got to the ashram, that I'd get kicked out, and or otherwise scolded or punished during my stay there. And that totally did not happen. Those 2 weeks was like, I felt like I was a duck in water. I was in the medium in which I am most comfortable, which is living on Adidas ashram in Fiji. And I had the exalted, easeful experience there of just loving being with Adida in his circumstance there, and him just giving all this generosity of access to his sacred places there. And I love serving you there, Bhagavan. I love being there. And at one point, we were told we could go visit the Brightness Temple where he's buried. But be warned, this is the last time Chandrasekhar is letting people go up there. This is it. This is the last time you second congregation devotees will ever get to go up to the brightness. And I was one of those privileged few. And for whatever reason, I was feeling flamboyant and rather flagrant. And I had this flowing psychedelic colored scarf, and I attached it to my head like this headpiece. And I wore these white rock star sunglasses. And we did the procession up the hill to the brightness, and perambulated 3 times around the brightness. And I said, "How do you do, Bhagavan? Great to see you here. Sorry that you died, but I am so with you now. I feel you without obstruction. I've got access to you at your seat, your most sacred place." And then a day later, David Forsyth comes up to me, and this other guy named David Lang was standing there. And David says, "You know, Theo, I really felt it was inappropriate and disrespectful for you, the way you approached Adida at the brightness and the way you were dressed." And then David Lang chimes in. He just cuts David Forsyth off, and he says, "You know, David, Theo is going to be the manager of Adidas Samraj Ashram someday. And both me and David are like in shock. Like, and then David Lang says it again. He says, yes, David, one day Theo will be the manager of Adidas Samraj Ashram. And that ended the conversation, and we all kind of walked away in a daze. But that's how that experience of going to the brightness was ended or resolved. And that's the kind of flavor of my experience of being in Naitamba at that time. Like, Adida is just being so generous with me, and I'm ready to receive it. I'm just, yeah, I'm here for you, but I love it. Give it to me. Give it all to me. I want all of you, all of what you've got. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love your style. I like your style, Bhagavan. I like how you do it here. I love every little particle of how you do things, how it shapes, how it looks. And then I got the chance to sing my song Thanksgiving and Flow in Your Ocean, like two of my most openly devotional, dedicated songs to Adida on acoustic guitar as an offering to him. You know, he's dead, but you know, you do offerings to him at Hymns to Me, in his more intimate temples. And I just felt like that was such a gift, such an overly generous thing, because they didn't have to let me do that, the powers that be. And they didn't have to give in to my wishes like that. And it was just too good to be true. There's so many things like that, on and on and on, where Adida is too good to be true in his generosity, his indulgence, his lenience to me. And Bunny Buns, on the other hand, had a freak out, got really paranoid about and jealous about me and this other woman. And it is not founded, it was not appropriate, but she had her freak out. And then it was kind of the beginning of the end of my relationship with Bunny Buns, sadly. When we got back from Naitamba, I was like, yeah, I'm all about just realizing Adida now. And that's all for me. That's all there is. And I want to be a servant in Adida's culture. I actually want to have a formal position of service and authority in the church. And when I told that to Bunny Bunn, she was like, oh, she recoiled. She was like, why would you want to associate with those people? And why would you want to be involved in that kind of evil institution, or with, you know, whatever the corruptness of that cult is? And her practice started to go down after that. I mean, she started to become intolerant of my devotional emotionalism and my crying. I have a gift of being able to cry, like more than any man I've ever known. And she started to just get impatient with me, like, oh, again, or this again, or like rolling the eyes, or just like. And also she realized that, you know, my promises of rock and roll fame were a bust, and her attempts to become famous were not working out. And she saw her future with me as not being what she was hoping for. So she started to pull away from the relationship and from my excessive devotionalism and my unwarranted desire to be an official member of the church. And she and I broke up in 2012, in January 2012, and she moved to Los Angeles. We had a long distance relationship for about a year in 2011. And in 2012, I basically experienced a kind of loss of all my conditional attachments. And sorry, Simon, are you still here?
Yeah, man. Justin's here as well.
Okay.
You see Justin
Okay,
here,
that's
Theo?
nice. Yeah, all four of us are here now. So I'm
Hey,
just
guys.
telling my Leela of
Sorry I'm late.
awakening, Justin. Yeah, glad you're here, Justin. You have to hear my recording later, but I'm going to finish up in about the next 20 minutes. Basically, at the point of January 2012 is when my awakening process got kicked off for real. And it got kicked off. I experienced this terrible pain over my right kidney one day at my house, and it was like the worst pain I've ever had. And I went to the emergency room and I got an MRI, and the results were not coming in for a while. Like for 2 weeks or something, I endured this agony of not knowing of like, do I have a life-threatening terminal illness, and or kidney stones, or something in between the two. And then I had a crazy housemate who tried to break up our house and get the landlords to kick me out. And then Warner Williams, the painter who I represent, got suicidally drunk for 30 days. And he made every effort to kill himself through alcohol for that 30-day period. And my dog got sick. I nearly lost my income. Something went on with the band at that time. I lost every attachment I had as a human, or had every single one of those attachments challenged or threatened, all at the same time. And I recognized that this was an opportunity, or that Adida was lining up all of my ducks. Like, I had all of the essential parts of my practice going at that time. I was living in cooperative community. I was doing continual service through sacred arts. I was tithing. I was basically doing closer to a raw diet. I was not engaging in sexual promiscuity. I was, I basically lined up every element of my practice except for the marijuana use. And the marijuana use was the one major lapse in my compliance to my vow of devotion. I have used intoxicants throughout my entire life of devotion to Adida, except in 2005, I took a full year off of cannabis because I wanted to show Adida I can do it. I'll do it for you. I would never do it for anybody else. I would never give up cannabis for anybody, but I'll do it for you, Adida. I'll prove it. And I also took a 6 months off the next year. I took multiple weeks off, days off, months off, basically the entire time from 2001 to 2008. But when Adida died, I was back on cannabis, every day. And I could not have done my practice without it. And I'm not advocating this for other people, other devotees in the future, saying that this is appropriate. This is the lapse in my vow to Adida. It's something that I personally needed. But in 2012, after my second wife, Bunny Buns, left me, and my health and my health had experienced a serious challenge, and my money, my finances, my home, my dog, my band, and Warner Williams, the painter, all the things that were most important to me were threatened or challenged or taken away from me. And I knew that this was the opportunity, that my practice was in a good place, that all of my attachments were being undermined, and that this is the moment. This is the moment to do it. This is it. Adida took me on a 15-month ramp of going into the heart of the listening hearing practice. And basically, I got the Aletheon. I was reading the entire Aletheon. And the listening, hearing practice, that part of the teaching just reached out and grabbed me. And I was doing the conductivity process of breathing and feeling Adida descend down the frontal line and up the back, and continuously breathing Adida's presence through my body, while simultaneously doing the conscious process of inquiry into my self-contraction. What am I always doing? What am I always doing? What am I always doing? And every single day, I would go in the backyard, I would get high on marijuana, I would do my yoga, and then have a devotional crisis of fear and trembling unto death, of being plunged into the core of self-contraction. And the thing that tipped me off is my devotional group. 3 guys in my devotional group, 3 other guys, who eventually kicked me out of that devotional group for daring to say anything critical about Chandrasekhar, was forbidden. And they kicked me out of the devotional group that I formed. But before they kicked me out, they said to me, you know, Theo, we don't think you're a vital. We think you're a peculiar. And I was like, what? No, I'm a vital. Clearly I'm a vital. Come on. And then I was like, oh no, they're right. I am a peculiar. And what that means for me is that every fucking thing in this world is sorrowful to an unlimited degree. And sorrowfulness is in my eyes, they told me. And then that was a slippery slope down into the self-contraction without being able to escape it, without being able to find consolation or deflection or avoidance from my active self-contraction in the moment. And every day for 15 months, I had a crisis in the backyard or elsewhere, but mostly there was a safe enough space. And I would just break down crying and feeling what I call mindless terror and unlimited sorrow. Mindless terror and unlimited sorrow. That's who I am. Truly. That's what I am. That's what I do. And it was the worst, most difficult to tolerate experience I've ever had. And it went on and on. And the third thing, in addition to conductivity and the conscious process and listening, hearing, was nama japa. And I'm just doing that japa fucking every minute. In the car, with other people, with the band, clinging to that nama japa. And in April of 2013, like for the entire month of April, I was doing the conscious processing conductivity in nama japa, and I started to be unable to locate my stress. And I started to become unable to locate anything or any orientation towards an image or content or a thought, and the frontal line had no content anymore. So I was like, well, wait a minute. I used to always have some degree of contraction and stress in my heart chakra, throat chakra, belly, genitals, anus, third eye, above the head. Now there's nothing. So 30 days go by in April. And I still can't locate any content of significance. I can't locate an orientation of significance. And it started to dawn on me, this could be awakening. And maybe it's not a big aha moment, at least for me. It's a big nothing. It's a big nothing. It's a big absence of what used to be happening all the time. It's just the absence of the self-contraction. And the phrase, the state of non-collapse, came to my mind. And by May 1st, 2013, I knew this is this is the awakening. And I had a conversation with Flick Rocky where he said, yeah, Adi Dog gave me awakening for 2 years, but I had lousy practice and I relapsed. I was like, oh no, I don't want to relapse ever. And so I said to myself, I'm going to wait 2 years. I'm going to give this thing 2 years and see what happens, and see if the collapse comes back, or see if there's some horrible thing in life that's just so bad it's going to trigger me back into self-contraction. Because by golly, you know, there's terrible things in life, man. There's got to be something that's so bad, you know. I just have to wait and see for 2 years. And so I went on for 2 years and never went back to the collapse. And the samadhi of the bright became my default state, no matter what happens. And right around that time in 2013, just like before, when I become a formal devotee or when Adi Da died at those great milestones, it seems like Adi Da gave me more cities. And in 2013, several cities appeared. Justin, can you mute?
Yeah, I'm going inside. Get out of this.
Yeah.
I'll mute anyway.
But unmute if you feel moved. In 2013, as this process is going on, I start to make video blogs on YouTube where I just speak improvisationally with no script, no notes. And I'm able to do a discourse on a topic for 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes without making a mistake. Or if I had to transcribe those video blogs, all I would have to do is add paragraph breaks. Like, they're literally perfect, exactly what I want to say from beginning to end. And they're entertaining, to me at least. And so goddamn good. Like, fuck. I mean, I became all of the kind of improvisational public speaker I could ever want to be. And that was number one. Number two is, at that time, Swaybone, my band, started to do improvisational jams again, which I hadn't done since Numinous Fools. And they were, in my opinion, and we recorded them. I have almost 100 of these recordings, and I've released 40 or 60 of them, of the best hard rock improvisational jams ever made by musicians. And the musicians I was working with, and one of them I'm still with today, are so fucking gifted, so fucking good, that what we did rivals the best of what's ever been done by Frank Zappa or Jimi Hendrix or Jerry Garcia or the Grateful Dead or anybody who's ever attempted improvisation in rock music. So that gift was given. And number three, I started to draw abstract drawings that filled the entire page in a style that I call Swigglehorf. And that evolved into using color and painting. And now I have this capacity to do what's called action painting, where you just do broad gestural work, and I could do an entire drawing in 1 or 2 minutes and an entire painting in like an hour that's rapid fire gestural and is, to me at least, fucking beautiful. And so boom, boom, boom. And then number 4, 2013, I released the album of Swaybone called Life on Earth. And for the first time, all the songs from beginning to end are meeting my standard of a formula that just gels. I know it's working and I love it. And I could sing these songs for the rest of my life. And so boom, 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 boom. The awakening happens and these cities appear. And I got to tell you, Bhagavan, and you guys, it's damn impressive. Like, if this is what Adida can do for me, oh my God. He delivers on his promise and then some. Like, it was awakening plus the most graceful cities I could ever want as an artist, as a human being, as an artist. And basically, from that point on, I've been able to enjoy a constant samadhi of the bright. I've been I started to have roommates that financially, psychologically, verbally, and physically attacked me continuously. And maybe like 20 different people. Only 1 or 2 of the housemates I had after that point were civil or humane to me. And so I was basically subjected to nonstop attacks in my house. And one person in particular was had it out for me and was either trying to kill me or get me into a position where I would be arrested in self-defense, trying to stop her from attacking me physically. And another female housemate physically attacked me, tried to provoke a provocation. A third female housemate physically attacked me and tried to provoke me into a fight. So I was severely tested by the demons during that time, and had a brutal struggle with money for years and years and years. It's like I had my own recording studio. I was the chief tenant of this large house, and the rents kept going up and up and up in Oakland, and it went up $1,000 in 5 years. And then I couldn't afford my car. I lost my car. I couldn't afford my studio. I had to give up my studio in 2015. And then finally, I have to give up a house and be homeless, actually, right now.
That's where the prayer changes.
Yeah. I'm actually happier now in my situation than I've ever been in where I'm living. So right now, everything's good. Like, I'm in my circumstances blessed as I could want to be, and it's getting better. And I'm in a circumstance where I have the cooperative community that I've longed for. And so basically, everything that I've aspired to with my music has been fully realized. I released a box set of Swaybone songs and the improvisational jams at the end of 2019, beginning of 2020. And that's what's on these Hot Wheels, is a flash drive. It's got the 180 plus songs. And I listen to this all the time. This gives me constant nourishment, constant support for my state. And this is the culmination of my life's work, and the demonstration and proof of Adida's all-accomplishing power. And my state right now and Adida's all-accomplishing power is manifest in this. And also my video blogs and my paintings and my writings. I should also say that after the awakening in 2013, I completed several books about Adida's teaching. One of them is called The Reality Kit, which is my editorializing about how to fix how to start the Global Cooperative Forum. And then I wrote The Turnabout of Adidam, which is a book of how to fix Adidam. And then I wrote a book called Upset the Apple Cart, which is an editorialized collection of Adida's most critical statements about Adidam. So his more scandalous, extreme criticisms of the gathering. And I've been writing several other books, one about Christianity, one about sex, another about rock and roll. And I released 7 videos on my YouTube channel called You Sleeping Fans of Rock, a 7-part video series where I give a more or less comprehensive critique of why rock and roll has failed, how it has become corrupted, and what needs to be done to save it and restore it. So I've written these books about restoring Adidam, establishing the Global Cooperative Forum, and fixing the negative things about Adidam, and then fixing the negative things about rock music. And I've written a ton of other stuff. I mean, I have thousands of pages written in physical notebooks and thousands of pages in digital archives of writing that I just love and so happy with as a creative person. And so I will testify to you all that I personally have experienced Adida's gift of awakening by complying with his vow as a formal devotee. But I also feel that he has been overly generous in giving me what I desired as an artist. And so I'll just put a plug in for Adida, that if you're an artist and you want to expand or realize your possibilities as an artist, I would definitely advocate becoming a devotee of Adida and giving him your everything. That's the best thing you could do as an artist, in my opinion. And I see absolutely no limits in Adida's ability to grant realization. I was maybe not the most hard or stubborn devotee to cut through. I was very willing, but I also put conditions on it. Like, Bhagavan, I can't give you my all until you give me my artistic goals. And I didn't get the fame yet, but everything else I asked for, he gave it to me and then gave extra. And beyond that, stuff I could not imagine. And every day I get to lapse into the samadhi of the bright if my body is in an unthreatened place or position. And I am happy with you guys. And I think that concludes my Leela awakening to Adida.
Yeah.
That was very interesting, Theo. Very interesting.
Thank you, Paul.
Did you record your improv session?
Yeah, so I have the most wonderful documentation of the video improvisation and the musical improvisations and the paintings.
Cool.
It's so yeah, guys, I have a virtually unlimited amount of content to roll out for the rest of my life. Yeah.
Good job. You got it done.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you.
That's really cool. I mean, that you could just, that you did that you accomplished so many things that you know, felt like you wanted to accomplish as an artist. I mean, that's really cool.
Yes. Yes, it is, man. It's really cool. It's the coolest thing that could happen to an artist. It's just all praise to Adida. All you artists out there should try it.
So I got the four of us, Simon.
Huh?
There's four of us now. We got the four that you.
There's four of us now. Thank
Yeah,
you.
right.
Thank you, Simon. There's four of us now.
Yeah, it feels right. It's like kind of balanced. When there's four of us, it doesn't feel right when there's like less. It's still good.
It's still
not
good,
quite right.
Justin,
It's like
but
a bit of a cake
we're
missing or something. You know?
we're feeling your absence and your presence, and you matter in this little cluster here. It's a wonderful feeling of four here. It's absolutely
I
fucking.
felt a little
great.
silly because we play with the schedule so much, and then I still got it wrong at the time. So I'm sorry for that. It's like my work schedule is weird this week, and I'm helping my roommate clean and move out of his place, so I'm trying to like play with times, and I don't know, I got mixed up.
Right.
I recorded it, Justin. I'm recording all these, so I will send you the recording
Cool.
if you want to.
And next Thursday, I should be free. For some reason, we're playing with this schedule where every other Thursday I have to be there. So it's kind of strange. I'll keep you updated.
I feel quite personally. I can roll with all of it. You know what I mean? I'm just so happy.
Me too.
I'm just so happy we get.
I'm so happy.
Yeah, to me, it's so luxurious.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If it doesn't happen, it's like, okay, well, it's like the cup's more full than empty. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, it's just so wonderful to get together. I don't care. I mean, I'm so flexible with my schedule anyway. It doesn't really matter. So I'm quite happy just so, to keep organizing it. And if it doesn't work out once or twice or three, I don't mind. I don't mind it. And we do it next time.
Me too.
You know what I mean?
I could do it Thursday or Friday or any day at this time. I'm flexible for you guys every day of the week at this time. So Thursday or Friday is all good. And you could switch it, is fine. I'm so happy to be flexible about,
Well, this is one of the big changes for me personally. It's because I used to be such a control freak. I mean, every time if things didn't go right, I'm trying to control everything, and now it's just like the waves and it's just you're just following it. Nothing's wrong. It's like nothing's
follow the waves.
wrong anymore.
Yes.
And it felt as well, Roger, because Justin Rogers decided not to be on the call. But it just felt kind of appropriate in a way. He didn't just have one reason. He had like 4 reasons why he couldn't be on the call. And I just felt like he wasn't really comfortable with us in the energy of it somehow. And I love Roger, but I just feel it just all feels appropriate, whatever happens.
Yeah, I can feel that.
And
he's probably in some other groups too, huh?
Yeah, he's got a lot of groups.
Yeah,
he's got a lot of groups. I mean, and he said he can't hear. But so first of all, he said the schedule isn't good for him. Of course, we could fix that, right? Perhaps because he's at work and everything. But then he said, but also I can't hear what you guys are saying. That's hard. And then he said, and I'm in lots of other groups. He said on a Thursday, I'm in 3 other Adidam groups in one evening. I'm like, well, fucking hell, that's
okay.
Because obviously, then it's not this group's not his priority. I mean, that's what he's kind of saying as well, So.
Yeah. It's not
Well, I feel
rigid
fine with
enough.
that. Yeah.
Oh, well,
Not rigid enough or what?
I don't know, maybe, or not. Maybe
Not
we're not
sticking
doing
to it.
listening practice enough, or he seemed a little disturbed about some of the things a few of us were saying, or like the idea
Yeah,
of like being there. You know, he's like saying, you know, the idea of actually sort of feeling you know, he's like more in the feeling of like, you know, he's like he's beginning and he's turning now. He can turn now.
Yeah.
So even for me, like the whole thing of feeling of turning, I mean, I understand it, but it doesn't make sense. It doesn't in my own life. That doesn't make sense. I can't. I don't have a sense of turning in the way that I used to. You know, that he talks about. So I'm quite happy in a way. I don't have to explain that, or you know, what I mean, with you guys, it just feels.
Yeah.
You guys feel so fluid.
I already know what you mean by that, Simon.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's
Yep.
what the relaxation I feel with you guys. I feel like. And even listening to you guys as well, like Theo, if you talk, I don't have a sort of a judgment thing going on. Like I know a lot of them. I can imagine a lot of my friends would. You know, I know they will. I know they do.
Yes.
Because they even talk about you guys and they talk about me. You know, so like the judgment. You know, like oh, you're marijuana, or you know, or yeah, but did you feel the Amritanadi, or you know, or but where you're not talking about this. I'm not even saying we can't do that among us. But
Yeah.
if we do it, if Justin does it, because Justin's kind of got that penetrating thing, I'm cool with it. You know, it's completely different than when someone does it who's like completely in doubt of the guru and in doubt of their own realization, in doubt of everyone's realization. It's a different thing if
Right.
Justin challenges me on it or something.
Yeah.
Than if some person does that I can feel what they're thinking. You know what I mean? They've
Yeah,
already
exactly.
decided you're not
Yes.
they've already got in the box. They already know your limits. They already know what you were. They already know you're not what you should be. You don't look like the guru. Like, you know, there's
Right.
fucking rules around it.
Put you in a
I
box.
do.
And that's one of the things I feel blessed about, that the guru, the way it's all happened with me has been so making me so has undone my fundamentalism. You know, it's undone all my rigid judgments of everyone. I literally don't know. You know, I don't believe, but I don't disbelieve. Anyone could come and tell me they've been awakened by the guru, and I'm not gonna, because I know what happened with me. It was so fucking weird and strange and unlikely the way it all went, or seemed to go, or does go. You know.
Yeah.
So I'm up for any crazy story or boring story, or it doesn't have to look like anything from my point of view. So when you talk about Theo, about you not having, you know, an actual like moment, I'm
Right.
really open to it. You know, for me there was this moment, but it's interesting. It's just very interesting to hear another devotee talking
Right.
about it in the way you talk about it. And there's a lot of things you talk about I can really relate. You know, not being able to locate the inner content and the
Yes.
contraction and the knots,
Right.
which when you had that your whole life, when all you've been feeling is inner content and knots and
Right.
everything, when you can't locate it, it's not something you're wondering about. You know, it's the difference between being in boiling hot water and normal water, or it's stark, the contrast, you know.
Yes.
And so I really connected with that, with what you were saying with that, you know. There's parts of what you were talking about I could really connect with. I really appreciate you sharing. So just the warts and all, just passionately, honestly. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Thank you guys for being present and listening. And this is healing for me, and unprecedented and unique, and just what I needed. And thank you.
And even if you weren't seventh stage awake, and I'm not doubting that you are, but even if you weren't, there's nothing more I'd like to do than be with you hearing your story,
Yeah.
feeling the
Me
guru
too.
the guru awakening you, you know?
Yep.
Like whether you were seventh, the same for anyone else who come on this call. I'm interested in the awakening and and how we can be for each other, just to be in that space so his city awakens more. It's not about I see something missing for me.
Yeah,
I'm not in that. For me, it's like this is beautiful, you know, even if we were all deluded, or even if we're on the sixth stage, or even if we all
if this is delusion, it's great.
That's where I want to be. You know, I want to be in this space where we're actually talking about what's really happening, you know, and not having to pretend or put on some kind of problem or dilemma, you know, or not there yet, or you know, we can begin from already in the mystery and the magic and the miracle of who he is and what he's already accomplishing with us all. That's so wonderful to me, you know. That's what I want to be, and to feel like the whole culture could start maybe more and more in this vein, you know. I mean, what an incredible thing it would become. If imagine 1,000 devotees all talking from the perspective of the guru already accomplishing it for them, and then magnifying, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be so incredible. So I feel privileged to be with 3 devotees who begin from this position of no dilemma.
Right.
Because it's real for you, not because you're faking it.
Idealistic about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you say? There's only one in the room? There's only one of us in the room or something? What do you say? What Blood would say? There's only one of us. No matter how many people in the room, there's only one of us in the room or something.
Yeah, there's only one being in the room.
Yeah.
There's only the samadhi of the bright. There's only the samadhi of the bright here now. There's only the samadhi of the bright. And I recognize your individuality. I enjoy all of your individuality a lot. But it is not an impediment. I do not see anything about you as an impediment.
Yeah.
I mean, neither. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Pretty cool. So who wants to volunteer for the Leela of Awakening next week? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Pick one. Yeah, go around the squares.
Okay. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
I'd rather do it at the end.
Okay.
I'd like to be the last
So
one.
I'll just go between Potty Da and Justin. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a pig by the toe. If he hollers, let him go. Eeny, meeny, miny, Justin.
I'll be there ready.
Okay, Theo, if you choose.
You missed it, but Theo began when he was born. So his Leela began when he was born. We were hoping he'd go back further, but he said he would. That's another time. So it started when he was born.
Maybe I'll do a past life regression before I get on, and then I can start.
Cool.
I can start back the 1400s if you want, something like that.
Yeah.
The whole series. That'd be cool.
It all began when my head got chopped off.
That'd be cool.
Wait.
Yeah, that was
That would be cool.
That'd be fun.
But yeah, I could start from birth, because I do feel like I was guided by Adi since I was a kid.
Yeah. And what's beautiful about Theo's Leela as well, he put no like kind of he didn't tell it in a certain, he just brought anything in about his life was in there, it's like it really was all, wasn't it, Theo? It's just like you felt free to bring everything, anything. I thought that was lovely. It's wonderful,
Yeah. Thank you.
That's cool.
you weren't like trying to just trace a journey that's obviously the guru, you know. It was like
He
all of
penetrated
it.
every part of your life, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I talked about like the women I was in love with, or the bandmates, and how that constant drive towards love or finding love relationships, that's just it was a consuming thing for me since I was born. Like as soon as I could sit up or stand up and move around, I was like, let's go, let's find some friends, let's find love, let's have fun, let's animate the obvious fact that we are God.
No, I appreciate it as well. Like I've noticed myself, it's I've actually I can appreciate my childhood. This awakening thing. It's like I can appreciate my childhood in a new way, and there's things that I remember that I didn't even remember. You know, the things of like contemplative absorption, particularly that I hadn't really registered so much. But it's the same feeling now, and it's the same mindlessness that I noticed as a kid. But now the awakening, now I don't have all the clutter of all the suffering.
Yeah.
Suddenly I've got access now to the childhood samadhis, you could say, that I didn't seem to have access to before. I can enjoy it all over. I'm like, sometimes I feel like a child, you know. Guru said the enlightened person is like a child or a madman. And
or an artist.
Yeah, it's like really incredible. It's really incredible. So that was really cool that you talked about all the early things. And cool.
Well, I have to go get my charger. I'll be right back. Unless we're gonna.
So can we do a prayer of changes on my financial situation? Is that something we could do now?
Yes.
I'd really appreciate it.
Should we finish with that then? Should we finish with that?
Yeah. Yes.
So, Theo, why don't you do it maybe with your cities? Will you get a new one, a new city on top of the other ones you've got for Paul's financial situation?
Paul, did you want to include any details in particular?
Can you lump it in with yours too, or do you need it, or you're right?
What do you say?
I'm sorry.
Do you want one for yourself too, Theo? Because you're a bit in a hard space too. No,
it's not that hard. I'm in a better space financially because I don't have these vast liabilities. Yeah. No, I will invite it another time. I would. Yeah. But for now, I would be happy to just consider if you have any. Do you have a wish list?
Oh, not really. Just overall improvement, because I live on $30 a week, and it's really hard just to eat properly, and it's really not good for my energy to eat kind of like I have a lot of these. I live on fucking spaghetti. It's not good. I don't know how to get out of it. I don't know.
I'm in a bit of a flow at the moment, and I'll pass.
Go ahead.
I'll have a chat with you. There's a guy called Jake Percy, who I really like on Facebook. He's a hypnotist guy, a spiritual guy. He had some kind of awakening, and he talks about awakening. He's on my Facebook feed all the time. I love him to bits. He's got kind of a lot of long hair, and he's kind of but he's very, very cool. I like him a lot, and he talks a lot about manifesting money. And he was talking today about how water, the Guru has talked about water being like structured intelligence and structured Shakti, and he talks about how we're mostly made of water. So if you drink water, you can program the water that you drink through, they've shown, they've shown that your thoughts affect plants, and water is like 99% of what we are. And beloved being true water, if you drink water, and you transmit prayer changes into the water as true water, and you drink that, and you're doing that several times a day, and you could even write on it. He actually tapes like the prayer or the affirmation or whatever in his case, but and yeah, I mean, I'll send you the link, but the flow started to happen with me before I even checked this guy out. It's just like it's been happening. I've got people coming to buying paintings now. I'm suddenly, after a long time of very difficult, suddenly I've got more money, and I'm paying off debts and things that I had and everything. And this guy, this guy's just come in as part of that, right? It's not like because of him. But a lot of what he talks about is a lot similar to what the guru talks about, you know, a lot. So I'd like to get a book of Adidar out to him actually, but I think there's things what I'm saying to you, there's things you could do that I'm gonna show, you know, that I think, you know, will work.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah. No worries.
I'll send you the link, and I can also do a one-on-one with you and support you in your manifestation of money, right?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I've studied my whole life, to be honest, and not with complete. I had a lot of success in all kinds of ways, and not as much as I'd like, but now that's all changing, I feel. So I'm happy to mentor you and support you in all this, Paul. Anyway, I'm just mentioning.
So I'll give you a quickie, okay? And
Okay.
I'd also be willing to put it in writing and improve the written statement of your affirmation over time and refine it. I like to put things in writing, and he's mentioned putting the written part onto the water of the glass that you're using. So
we're doing
Bhagavan,
together as a team supporting you, Paul.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
But I'm asking, I'm just going to talk to Bhagavan here. Bhagavan, I ask for your all-accomplishing power to help with Paul Patida's achieving his next highest level of financial conductivity, and that Paul's body and life is ready to receive an expanded financial conductivity such that he can have all of the healthy food he needs all the time, and have his physical circumstance provided for his health and his safety and his comfort and his pleasure every day for the rest of his life, and that he is now already in that state of financial conductivity whereby he can receive more and unexpected abundance of support and money to help him expand in all of his beautiful ways in his life. And I personally love Paul. I want his finances to be golden, and more than enough, always more than enough, now and forevermore. Beloved, thank you. Thank you for your all-accomplishing power.
Oh, yeah. Mm. Very good.
Could we have a reading? Or go ahead.
No, it's not all bad. Like, I've got positives happening, but just some critical things I've got to tend to. I don't know. I just previously I didn't know where to start. So, but yeah, I thought I'd start with the prayer of changes. But yeah,
with us and Bhagavan, you got it, bro.
Yeah.
We're on it with you.
We're on it, man.
Simon suggested it a while ago, and I thought it was a good idea. Yeah. Ah, whew. That's good. Feel better already.
It's already happened. That's white magic.
Well,
White
right.
magic.
It already is.
You start from the result in white magic. Like the guru's already accomplished it, and then you work backwards. It's like the opposite of like working towards a goal. In your heart and mind, soul, spirit,
Yeah.
he's already accomplished it. You already see it. You can feel it, and then you act like someone, and you talk like someone for whom it's already occurred.
Yes.
It seems crazy, which is fine for you.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't mind being crazy. So it's perfect for us, white magic. Other people, it's too scary.
Yes.
It's like you can't act, you don't act something that's not seem to be happening. But for us, it's okay.
Hmm.
No, I understand. Yeah, I understand.
Like faith. It's guru faith and satsang, isn't it?
Oh, it feels amazing in my room. It feels like I've gone back 20 years and what Adidam used to be like. That's amazing. Yeah.
So shall we? Can anybody give us a recitation and end formally?
Okay, I'll do a recitation. Now begins the recitation. The heart word
The heart word.
of the Ruchira avatar, beloved Bhagavan Adidas Samraj. Be relieved of your seriousness. While you are alive, everything seems important. Even despair is important. An acknowledgement that something important to you has not happened. Thus, life while you live it is full of importances. Life is completely absurd. To attain freedom from something that is unnecessary to begin with is completely crazy. Why bother with it to begin with? Enlightenment is to awaken from the seriousness of experience. It's not about forgetting all about it or to assume some superficial understanding of the real process. Many people come up with one-liners that last for their whole life. It's like the one joke that you keep in your back pocket that will always get you a laugh when you need one. Despair, self-indulgence, stressful efforts, discipline, real interest, knowledge, death, sex, food, everything is completely serious. This movement or tendency to survive, to continue in independent form is profoundly serious, and it's also absurd because it must be understood and transcended. Enlightenment is to be restored to divine humor. You can either become distracted by experience and forget about the real condition of life and go about repeating your experience over and over again, or you can transcend it, one or the other. We are under the incredibly absurd illusion that there is an objective world outside consciousness and there is a me inside this body. There's not a shred of truth in this presumption. What you presume in your everyday consciousness in any moment is the drama of the seriousness of your independent existence. When you awaken, even for a moment, to its true position, which is senior to any phenomena, then the full humor and freedom of necessity to any experience is brought forth. There is only enlightenment, divine freedom, no matter what arises. What is objective about your experience? It's just your own fascination, it's your own mind, it's your own consciousness, modified by the brain and organs of experience. It's mind. It's harmless enough in itself, really, but you're so distracted by it that you've lost your humor. You've lost your true position. You do not have a right relationship to experience. The wrong relationship to experiential phenomena is to presume that you are a separate person, a separate consciousness, in the midst of a world that you know nothing about, that somehow encloses you, that is objective to you, that's separate from you. In that case, you see, experience is a very serious business. You have no option but to submit to it, to be distracted and tormented by it. The motive that keeps this sense of reality continuing is basic to your sense of existence. Surviving as experience is what you're chronically doing. You're being this body-mind. You're moved to continue as that and to glamorize it, pleasurize it, protect it, fight for it, and all the rest of the catastrophic mindset that goes with it. As soon as you get a little physical or emotional or mental pleasure, right away you think that you're existing in the highest state that one can realize. In enlightenment, the motive to survival dissolves. In enlightenment, the motive to survival dissolves. Continued bodily existence is a spontaneous affair. Continued bodily existence is a spontaneous affair. You're no longer dependent upon a psychological motive to continue. It simply continues on its own. The universe is not ultimate. It doesn't hide a great fact. If you could relax that demand just a little bit, something entirely different would happen. But you're afraid of something entirely different. You're afraid to die. You're afraid to allow things to change. Therefore, you hold on to your present experience. But if you could give up everything, not through negative reactive effort, but through transcendental realization, then your humor would be restored and a different sense of existence would quite spontaneously arise. Then you would realize that there is no necessity to this present experience, except that it is set in motion through ordinary causation and will therefore continue for its term. From the radical enlightened point of view, there is no body-mind. From the radical enlightened point of view, there is no body-mind. Thus, in order to enter into the seventh stage of life, one must pass through the most profound and even terrifying transformation. That event cannot be casually created by a little thinking. One must come to the point where there's literally no necessity to the body-mind, to the psyche, or to experience. One must come to the point where there is literally no necessity to the body-mind, to the psyche, or to experience. This is the enlightenment of the whole body. Here ends the recitation of the heart word of the Uchira Avatar, the Da Avatar, Labadagavan Adi Da Samraj.
Da. Thank you, Simon.
Do you want to offer the second great invocation? Lead us in the second great invocation, Theo.
Okay. Now let us, with full feeling, prostrate at the feet of Archira Avatar Adida Samraj, Divine Heartmaster Adida Samraj, Realizer
Realize and revealer of the heart.
and Revealer of the heart, Revelation of
the bright,
person.
divine person.
Hear my heart call now.
Hear my heart call now. Bless me now with
Bless
true
me now
self-forgetfulness,
with true self-forgetfulness,
by the seven gifts of remembering you, that my heart may
by the
grow,
seven gifts of remembering you,
that my heart may grow,
that my heart may grow in brightness
and be gone. I hold up my hands.
and be gone.
Da.
My hands. Da. Hi, Justin.
Hi.
Love you so much, guys. We're
Came on to
gonna
say
see you
goodbye.
next Thursday.
Duh. See you next Thursday.
Da.
Okay.
Uh,
Da.